Welcome snugglers to Snuggle Cal Tech Tips video number 4. This one I'm going to demonstrate the grafting method, which is used to join your lining when complete to the bottom of your ribbing where you had your provisional cast on. If you check in our events page, you'll see that I've posted a step-by-step tutorial to get you ready for this next stage. In the tutorial, it will show you how to put all the stitches back onto a spare needle, remove the waste yarn, and be ready for this next step, the grafting, which is much like grafting the toe of a sock. So if you're familiar with that, you won't really have any issue. I use my handy little grafting recipe just to remind me when I'm getting started, and then you get into the rhythm and it's easy after that. This is a little magnet on wood that we sell in the store. Okay, so I have to make sure before I start that my marker, beginning of round for the lining, is lined up with the beginning of the round for the ribbing. You don't want your cowl to shift and be askew at the end of this long grafting stretch. And then the other little tip is, instead of working with a full length piece of your CC2, it's a little bit easier if you cut it down to about 24 inches, 20 to 24 inches, and then when I run out of this, I'm just going to attach a new piece. It's easy to sew in the ends. The other tip is make sure that you've sewn in all your inside ends before you start the grafting, because once it's grafted, it's sealed up like a tomb. Okay, so I'm holding my two needles side by side, lining at the front, ribbing at the back, and I've secured the opposite end of my circular needles into the work just so that they don't get in the way and stitches don't come off. So we're going to start with the front stitch, purl on. Purl on means we go in purlways with the yarn, we pull it through, but we leave the stitch on the needle. Now at the back, we're taking the first stitch, knitways, and leaving it on the needle. This is just the setup. Okay, keep your stitches close to the tip. And now we're starting into the actual repeat section. So front stitch, knit and take it off. But before you pull the yarn through, continue to the next stitch at the front and go in purlways and leave the second stitch on the needle. Now flip your work so you can see the back needle. We're going to start purlways, take it off the needle, and then knitways, leave it on the needle. And you don't want to pull the stitches super tight. Let them relax into the same size tension as your stocking stitch tension. So that was one full repeat. We'll try it again. Front, knit, off, purl, leave on. Make sure you keep your yarn under the needle, don't let it catch over top. Back needle, purlways, off, knitways, leave on. Front needle, are you catching on now? Knit off, purl on. Back needle, purl off, knit on. You can make up a nice little jingle to go with it. Knit off, purl on, purl off, knit on. And the reason we have to do the grafting in this manner is so that the stitches lie flat and it looks like you've added another round of knitting. at the front. Maybe I'll hold it up to the camera a bit. Okay. I'm at the front, which is my start. Knit off the needle, purl, leave it on. Back needle, purl to start, off, knit, leave it on. So you can see that the front needle is the opposite method of the back needle. So there's a handy little trick to remember how to start. All you have to remember is this is your knit side, right side facing, knit side. This we refer to as the purl side because it is the wrong side of the work. So just remember that, identify it. So whenever you're starting at the front, you're starting knitways because knitways is the right side. So knit first, purl second. And then whenever you're at the back, wrong side facing, you know you start with a purl and then a knit. Total opposite of the front. Knitways, purlways, purlways, knitways. I think you'll enjoy the grafting, and the best part about grafting so many stitches on this project is that you'll never forget how to do it, whereas when you're only grafting a few stitches on the toe of a sock from time to time, not continually, you can easily forget this technique. So give yourself a nice quiet place to work on this, maybe this afternoon or this evening where it's cool, and try to do it all in one go, no stopping and starting, because then you'll forget where you've left off. So as I finish this end of yarn, I'm going to work down to about a 4-inch tail. I'll leave that at the front of my work, and then I'll pick up a new cut piece of yarn. For example, if this was my 4-inch end, I would leave it at the front for sewing in later. And then I would just start off in the same stitch where I'd left off. So I'm not leaving a hole, and I know where my sequence begins. So I started in the back of the last, or back of the first stitch, and I'm going to be starting in the front of the knit stitch. Okay, and sewing in your ends, you can just thread them through the casing, or maybe do a little bit duplicate stitch following the pattern of the knit stitch on the surface, whatever your usual technique is. We'll be back this afternoon after 2 with our knit along update live on Facebook. Hope you can tune in and watch, and hope you're making great progress on your Snuggle Cowl. Thanks for watching, everyone.